always going to do things, but he's never been a workout type of guy. Like, he's never talked about, like, oh, you got to be fit, you got to go on walks, you got to jog. My dad ain't never did none of that kind of stuff. So he's just always been, you know, an active guy as far as doing things around the house, doing yard work, doing that kind of stuff. He's always fixing people's cars and doing stuff like that. And then as far as his eating, he's always eaten weird shit. Like, my dad eats hog nuts. Yes, the testicles of a hog. Testicles is testicles, okay? And that's just, to me, that's just unacceptable. But he used to eat hog nuts, cow's tongue, possums. Now, you know what a possum looks like? A possum looks like a big, fat-ass rat. He eat possum. He eat, what did I say, cow's tongue? He eat anything from a pig. So if the pig has, whatever the pig got, a brain, he'll eat the pig's brain, the pig's nose, ears, feet, the pig's nuts, the pig's everything. He would eat that. He would eat things like quail, raccoon. Any day that I would come home from school, I would see an animal in the sink. And it used to disgust me and my sister. We would come home from school and it'd be like an animal like with teeth and shit. And so I guess Daddy had to soak it in hot water to get the, y'all, I'm serious. Like real animals that's dead already. And yeah, so that's what my dad has always eaten for most of his life. Now, what does he eat now? The other thing about my dad, even when he was eating all of this weird stuff all his life, my dad always eats a little bit of everything. He's never, you know, like when you pop, you know, like even for Thanksgiving, most people pile their plates up. My father has never done that, ever. You know, we would always eat. One of our things that we always had to do together, we always used to have to eat together. So, you know, when it's time for dinner, my mom would always cook, and we would always eat together, all of us. And so Daddy, we would always be like, Daddy, that's all you going to eat? Because he would get like a little dot of this, a little, you know, a couple little pieces, maybe half a piece of whatever meat it was, a little spoonful of this, and if he get a biscuit, he might eat the top of it, or he might eat a whole biscuit, maybe, but he's always eating like that. Never go back and get seconds or anything like that. So he's always just eating just enough so that he's not hungry. So that's another thing about him. He's always had that habit. He still has it now. People laugh at him all the time, especially at big family functions, because, you know, with all of this good food that we be cooking and eating, Daddy will still, his plate is going to look like it's for a 2-year-old. Like, what the hell? You got a little dot of everything. He want to taste everything, but it's only going to be a little dot of everything. So he's always had those types of eating habits. So that's pretty much, and the other key to my father's youthfulness at 97, my father has always lived life on his own terms. So you hear some of my mom's videos where she'll say, you know, she learned early on in their marriage, oh, this how it works? Oh, just live your life, I live mine, and we great friends, we best of friends, and we're going to raise these 2 daughters, and, you know, Daddy paid all the bills, you know, it was like that kind of stuff. But my father lived a life on his own terms all the time. It never changed. And he's always believed that as long as you're not negatively impacting someone else that you love, then you're supposed to do whatever you want to do. Whatever that is, you're supposed to do what you want. You're supposed to move how you want to do. You're supposed to work where you want to work. Do what you want to do to make you happy, regardless of a spouse, regardless of a parent, regardless of a child, regardless of a sibling. My daddy didn't care about anything except what makes him happy in life. And, you know, he's not a bad person, so the things that make him happy did not necessarily negatively impact anyone else. You know, my mom learned to ebb and flow. My mom learned to be like, oh, okay, well then I have to start doing things that make me happy too. And so now that I am older, I'm starting to understand that, and I'm going through a divorce, and Santa's an amazing man. He is. But what I'm starting to understand is it's very important that when you get a certain age, you do things you flow the way you flow. And you don't want anyone to disrupt that. So you got to find yourself selecting those that are around you that ebb and flow like you flow, so that there's not a lot of friction when that happens, right? And so I think that everybody could adopt my parents' philosophy that we do what we want to do to make us happy. If you want to go on a cruise, like my dad wasn't into that. Ever. He was never into that. But my mom loved cruises. He's like, go. Because I'm going to do what I want to do when I want to do it. So my mother did the same thing. You know, she liked cruises. She was always on a cruise. My daddy never went, ever. What's wrong with that? Nothing wrong with that. I'm learning. People should do what they want. And if you're in something with someone and they're doing what they want, if they're not doing anything to physically or be abusive to you or mentally abuse you, why does what they want to do, even if what they want to do is nothing, that should be okay. Let them do nothing, you know, and you go do what you want to do. And then you meet back at the dinner table, like my parents did, you know. I'll see you tonight at dinner. Easy. Slow.